Good Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. In today's show, what we're going to talk about is what can destroy Bitcoin, what can actually take it down so that it doesn't fulfill what it's going to do. Let me tell you what it's going to do if it's not taken down, if it's not destroyed. It's going to slowly take over the world's financial system, Bitcoin, the cryptocurrencies, and the dollar is a de facto world reserve currency. It will slowly lose value until the end it goes into a hyperinflation. All the other world's currencies are going to follow suit. This is basically, as Jim Rickards wrote in his book, The Death of Money, this is basically the death of money. Trade wars are exacerbating this problem and making it grow faster, making it worse much faster. And cryptocurrency, unless it's stopped, it will continue until it... I'll tell you where we're going with this. Basically, in the end, what the system's going to look like if cryptocurrency is allowed to continue to its final conclusion. Bitcoin is going to represent about 20% in the end of all of the world's everything, all of the world's wealth. It'll represent about 20%. The other alt currencies are going to represent about 30% of the world's wealth, ultimately in the end. Gold and silver are going to take up the rest, where gold is going to take about 30% of the world's wealth. And they're basically, what they're doing is, gold, silver, and the cryptocurrencies are basically cutting up the world's wealth like a pie, and they're taking the shares. Bitcoin 20%, altcoins 20%, gold about 30%, and silver's going to take the final 20% slice of the pie. And where do the currencies we have now stand in this pie? What share of the pie are they going to get? Like the US dollar, and the Japanese yen, and the Swiss franc, and the different currencies, the British pound, and all these different currencies. What chunk of the pie are they going to get? A big fat zero. They're going to be worthless, totally worthless. They're going to be souvenirs for history. People are going to take really nice, crisp, maybe a crisp $100 bill and put it under glass as a souvenir of the past, of a past era. And so if Bitcoin's not stopped, that's the eventual outcome of all of this, ultimately in the end. So let's take a look at what Bitcoin is doing today. Let's turn the charts on right here and take a look at cryptocurrency market capitalizations. We're having a little bit of a rough day today, you know, but we're still in this bull market, and this is what happens. You get a leg up, and then it bounces around a little bit while it's waiting for the next leg up. Now, there is a problem in all this. We got a recession coming, and the recessions are inherently deflationary. But the deflationary aspect of the upcoming recession is not going to last very long. But that's going to be negative, probably. I'm not going to say for 100% sure it'll be negative to cryptocurrencies, but most likely negative to cryptocurrencies, but also negative to gold and silver. Because what happens is, during that period, people start running into the dollar. I know the dollar's dying, but they'll run into the dollar anyway. They get frightened. They want to hold dollars. And what happens is then we get deflation start to occur, and then the Federal Reserve and the world central banks step in, and they show these people that run into the dollar the mistake that they just made. They're going to be showing the mistake it's going to be to run into the dollar. Because what they're missing, the people that run into the dollar, is the fact that the central banks can create as many dollars as they want. And they will. This is the only direction that they're going to move in. So we're looking at a little bit of a fall in market capital today. $330.4 billion on cryptocurrency. Let me just refresh the page and see if it's still falling. $322 billion of market cap. Bitcoin dominance is 61.7%. Litecoin is holding its own, or trying to hold its own. Litecoin is a very strong coin. It's the only coin that's showing green right now. Everything else is red. Even Bitcoin's red, and we're looking at Litecoin as the only coin in the green. And this is because the halving's coming up soon. Litecoin is underpriced right now. It's underpriced, considering the halving coming up. And we could see a sudden burst of energy come into Litecoin when we get our next leg up in Bitcoin. We could see a positive burst of energy come into Litecoin, where Litecoin actually moves upwards faster than most of the other coins, because Litecoin is lagging behind. It's lagging behind big time. The Litecoin price right now should be over $200, and it's only 127. Whereas, and when Bitcoin starts to shoot heavenwards, because the halving's coming up, I expect to see a little pulse of energy come into Litecoin that could move Litecoin on the next leg up in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin gets up to like 14,000 or 15,000, Litecoin could start going up toward its old highs. If you guys remember, its old highs were $350. Let's take a look now at the Bitcoin price. $11,338. It's lost 5.56%. But don't worry. As you can see, it's perfectly managed within this move upwards. The biggest thing I'm worried about right now is the deflationary pressure from the recession that's coming. That's the biggest thing I'm worried about as far as Bitcoin price. Now let's discuss. Now remember what I said at the start of the show. I said about if Bitcoin is not killed or destroyed, what it's going to do in the end. And that's almost 100% certainty what Bitcoin will do and the cryptocurrencies will do to the financial system in the end. The piece of the pie that they're going to take, if they're not destroyed. And so what we're going to talk about is how it could be destroyed. What could come along to destroy it? It says, what can kill Bitcoin? Enthusiasts speculate ways that Bitcoin could meet its very unlikely, and you notice they put in parentheses, very unlikely demise. So, but there is a small percentage chance that Bitcoin could be destroyed. But what could destroy it? Let's get into it. Let's talk about what could destroy it. Well, basically, it's these three things right here. What we're looking at. I'm going to close the chart down a little bit so we can see this better. And we're going to discuss them. The three things that can destroy Bitcoin. One is sovereign attacks. Well, we have been through sovereign attacks. India, Russia, different countries like that have tried to stop it. And basically what it tends to do is it tends to go underground. People tend to hold them anyway. And, I mean, it's awfully hard to know if a person even has Bitcoin to enforce these rules of a ban on holding Bitcoin. I mean, let's face it. You could have a Bitcoin wallet that it holds a whole node inside your computer. And once you got your Bitcoin on that wallet, you can just download the little tiny DAT file. And if you guys know how small a little tiny data file is that holds your Bitcoin, and you can store it anywhere on your, if you got like a 4 terabyte or 4 terabyte hard drive, that little tiny DAT file can be hidden in the back of your computer someplace. And I mean, do you know how hard it would be to find it? And you're the only guy that knows where it's at. I mean, even if they searched your computer, it might take them. Or you could even have it on a paper wallet, which is even harder to find. A little tiny slip of paper, someplace hidden in the plaster of your home, underneath the plaster or buried in the floor and stuff. And you got the Bitcoin. On that little tiny paper wallet. So it's very hard. I mean, they could come in and they could ransack your house and turn over every chair in your house, and the Bitcoin could be buried in the cement of your floor. In a little tiny paper wallet that only you know where it's at. A guy could have a drill, and he could drill a little hole in his floor, in his cement slab, and put the Bitcoin down in that little tiny, that little slip of paper down inside there in a little tiny plastic bag, and then refill it with cement and paint over it. And the police could be in there raiding and ransacking, tearing his chairs apart and everything. They're not going to find his Bitcoin. So that's how hard it is. It would be for them to ban Bitcoin. And it's just going to go underground. And people are going to hide their wallets. And it's just like, and they're going to HODL it. And they're going to do it all the more so as these governments debase their currencies. So these sovereign attacks will continue, but I don't see them stopping Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form. And of course, all the Western world basically were free to own Bitcoin. And there'd be a tremendous uproar if they tried to even Bitcoin. Every day that progresses into the future, it's becoming more and more people are owning it, and more people would be angry if the government said you can't own it. They would want to know why. And the government, their only flimsy excuse they have left is money laundering, money laundering, money laundering. Yeah, they've used that to death. They've said that over and over and over again. But, you know, ultimately, the people are going to be more and more considering Bitcoin as their baby. They got a little bit of Bitcoin on a wallet someplace, and you touch it, you're in trouble. So if the government, and there's getting to be more and more of these people all the time, so if the government tries to touch their Bitcoin, people are going to be mad. And we all know that the government is terrified of angering the opinion of the general populace. So that ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. So that we can pretty much write this sovereign attacks off. Now, the second is a sovereign attack where they coordinate a mining takeover and they try to take over 51% of the Bitcoin network. Bitcoin network is growing so large with such mining power behind it that the government would have to, they would have to go into a mega effort. I don't know, they would have to have mining machines on a scale where it would cost them so much money as an endeavor to do this that it makes it almost impossible that they could actually pull it off. It would take such a huge government expenditure. They would basically have to take over whole warehouses, hundreds of warehouses, and fill them with mining machines. You know, and this would cost a lot of money. Would the people agree to this in the first place? So we can pretty much write that one off. I can't see that one happening. Now, the third one is quantum computing. Oh, quantum computing is going to come along, and it's going to take over Bitcoin. Well, first off, where are these quantum computers? We are just on the cutting edge of just having our first quantum computers. We're not even there yet. Besides having a quantum computer that's so powerful, and then it has to target Bitcoin. First off, I think that's quite a few years in our future. But you have to understand something. Bitcoin is quantum computing resistant. I didn't say proof. It's like a watch. When you buy a watch, it says waterproof. Now you can dip it under the water. If it says water resistant, don't dip it under the water. That means you can splash a little bit of water on it, water resistant, but don't dip it under the water. That's the way with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is quantum computing resistant. But the question I'm going to ask is, are the fiat currencies out there quantum computing resistant? And the answer is absolutely not. All of the fiat currencies and the fiat monetary system is completely open to quantum computing. So, if you were a guy that had a big quantum computer, which would you attack first? I mean, you know, something that's quantum computing resistant, and it would be hard to break, like the Bitcoin, your Bitcoin address would be extremely hard for even a quantum computer to break it, or something that's still running on a 4-digit system, like your credit cards. What's your PIN number? 4 digits. 4 simple, easy numbers. Now, look at a Bitcoin wallet address. It's capital letters, it's lowercase letters, it's numbers. You add 3, you're adding those extra variables, and look how long it is compared to your 4-digit credit card PIN number. Which system is more vulnerable to a quantum computing attack? No brainer. No brainer. So, if the regular fiat monetary system we have now you're going to tell me that they're going to bypass that and just go after Bitcoin? I don't think so. I think that quantum computing creates vulnerabilities in the entire financial system, not just Bitcoin. But we don't have quantum computers out there yet that are doing this, and we're a long way from it. So I wouldn't worry about number 3 either, you know. So that's basically covered. So now if Bitcoin's not going to die, if these 3 things are not going to kill it, then it's going to slowly continue to grow until it takes over. You know? Listen, thank you guys for listening to the show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the very next show. Bye-bye, guys. Oh, and have a nice weekend, what's left of it, and give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you. Bye-bye.